Julie, do you know the reason why your dad passed away? So I was like, what kind of a question is that? He had a stroke. So I was like, he had a stroke. Akaniambia there was the stroke, but there was something else.
Oh my God.
So, nikashindwa. Akaniambia, when you're old enough, maybe have that conversation with your mom. So, Richie, this chapter we are about to get into. Now here ask me how I remember my mom. Because now I feel like now this is the story of my mother.
Wow.
And her 4 children. The last born at this particular time is 7 years old. Jesh is 9 or 10. I am in class 6, I'm 12. And my big sister is in class 8. She's 14, 15.
There's no adult there. 36
years old. A woman who has always been a housewife. This is the new chapter now. This is when. So here now, sasa hapa tunaweza ongea. So now you can ask, how do you remember your mother?
Okay.
So we've buried. So yes, he's passed away on the 16th of June, right? The mazishi was that following week on Friday. And
and let me ask this question. Your mom is living at the bottom of the hill.
Yes.
In your dad's homestead.
Yes.
What was Gawanyard for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sasa hapo ndio tunaishi. So we bury him and that's it, right? Like my dad's chapter. Sinika tumeifungia hapo. But hatujaifungia hapo. Sasa ndio tunaanza story. Sasa ndio tuna like now we see dad in the new chapter. So in his absence, but how
you feel the impact of his absence.
Exactly. Yes. So tunaendelea na shule sasa na maisha.
2006, 2000 June.
2000, yes, June. Like tunaendelea tuna maisha sasa after hapo. So things go back to sort of normal-ish. Like we know now he's no longer here. But of course you see him every morning because his grave is just hapo juu ya shamba. Unaionanga tu hapo asubuhi ukiamka. And it's now mom and her 4 children. Because see, everybody has a life. Kwani watashinda hapo wakiomboleza na wewe? See, now people go back to their lives. Sasa inabaki ni mama na a woman who has always been a what?
Housewife.
A housewife. And now has to fend for 4 children.
All under 18.
All under 15.
Yes.
That's 18.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like sasa hapo ndio sasa life with mom begins. So I remember my dad had a bit of money in the bank, right? From the stories I gathered later on, was that my dad at that particular point, he had about 2 million in the bank. 2 million that time was
a lot.
That was a ridiculous amount of money.
For sure.
Ni pesa tunge survive nayo kama watoto wake na bibi yake for quite a while comfortably, right? But not so long after my dad, after tumemzika, like it was barely a month after tumezika baba yangu, the in-laws came knocking.
No.
Yes, Richie. The in-laws came knocking. And the in-laws I'm talking about is, of course, on my dad's side. Being led by my grandmother. Yes. And my dad's oldest sibling.
Okay, what does this mean when you say they came knocking?
They came knocking. They came to
tell you get out.
Yeah, wamekujia mali ya brother yao na ya mtoto wake. So Shosho is saying amekujia mali ya mtoto wake na the sibling anasema amekujia mali ya brother yake. But now there was a reason behind it. A reason that we only came to learn about like maybe in the last 10 years. Na ni mama yetu alitukalisha chini kutuambia. And it's not because my mom volunteered that information. It's because I happened to go back to that hospital that my dad used to go to the Jamii Hospital, and I met with the doctor. Na tukakuwa na conversation. I don't even remember. Nilikuwa nimeenda hiyo hospitali kufanya nini ndio tukue na hii conversation na yeye. Wacha nianzie hapo ndio turudi hapa kwa mama. Ndio turudi ujue. Now we understand the source of the chaos.
But then you didn't.
Then we didn't. Like we did not know. Tukua tunashindwa.
What's going on?
Like all of a sudden, kwa nini mmekuja na hizi nini zote? So, I remember one time having a conversation with this doctor.
This is years later. You're saying the last 10 years.
No, actually, no. The conversation with, with my mom about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But the conversation with this doctor, I had some period, I had some cramps during my period when I was in high school around Form 2. And my mom took me to the same hospital, your Jamii Hospital. And the doctor who was treating me is the same doctor who used to treat my dad, right? So after we had had the conversations, Nina akanipe dawa, and it's just normal, whatever. At the very end of the conversation, kuna kitu aliniuliza, akaniuliza, Julie, do you know?
Julie, and you said Julie, yes.
Julie, do you know the reason why your dad passed away? So I was like, what kind of a question is that? So alikuwa na stroke. So I was like, he had a stroke. Akaniambia there was the stroke, but there was something else.
Oh my God.
So, nikashindwa. Akaniambia, when you're old enough, maybe have that conversation with your mom. So this conversation with my mom happens about 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago ni juzi tu, si kitambo sana. So, Richie, the reason for all these kills was because kumbe my dad had HIV and AIDS.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he could not recover from the stroke.
You know, even when you talked about the stroke, my grandfather got a stroke.
Yeah.
What you're talking about happening to his body and things, I'm like, with stroke, does that happen?
Sound like a stroke.
Yeah, like that, like.
Because actually the treatment for a stroke is physio.
Yes, I'm like, why is his bones and things showing? But I was just like, okay, maybe MECG.
Yeah. So, kumbe sasa in addition to the stroke, he had
AIDS.
HIV and AIDS. And so the 1 month after we had buried my dad, the reason for the kills is because my relatives on my dad's side said the reason my dad got HIV and AIDS was because of my mother. So walikuja kutoa, in their words and quotes, I don't know if you're allowed to say this, no, walikuja kutoa malaya kwa nyumba ya mtoto wao, the shushu, na kwa nyumba ya brother yao.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But you see now, these are things we are learning.
Yes.
Juicy too. Because we could not understand the change of heart. Like, shushu. Me, I loved my shushu. Like, during my childhood days, my shushu was I loved my shushu. I used to look forward to going for sleepovers at my shushus. And remember, we live in the same homestead. So kwa shushu si ati naenda mbali, niko tu natembea. Like, that used to be my favorite place. So how are you telling me that now my shushu ni yeye anakuja kuturusha nje? Na anakuja kuchukua sofa sets, gas, mtungi ya gas, cooker. Like, they literally came for everything in that house.
When you were there?
And I remember to go class 6. 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So the kills that started after my dad had been buried, kumbe ilikuwa ni juu alisema my mom ndiye alipatia dad nini?
HIV.
So wakakuja kufanya nini? Kufukuza huyu malaya. Actually walikuwa wanamuita malaya. Wakakuja kufukuza malaya kutoka kwa boma ya kwa boma ya watoto wao. Kwa sasa wanasema this entire time my dad was away working in Nairobi, or he was out of the country. My mom was doing what?
Sleeping around.
Yes.
Okay.
So just to is it clarify that information? My mom hakuwa na AIDS.
So it's clear.
Yes. Like my mom hajai kuwa, otherwise sasa hizi miaka zote ameishi tangu the husband passed away. My mom does not have HIV and AIDS. She never had HIV and AIDS. So this man,
so
when he was gallivanting.
When you were Nairobi,
yes.
Nairobi ilikuja na vitu zake.
Nairobi ilikuwa na vitu zake. So Richie, the chaos begin.
Don't tell me you become homeless
the
now.
The chaos begin. And we are thrown out of our house. And they actually came one morning. Na wakatutupa sisi wote. And imagine. And well, itakuja ku-explain later why. And from that interview, it's good you didn't watch your interview, Lynn. Lynn Gugi. Because now it explains, because with Lynn we didn't go this deep. It explains why I said whatever I said in that interview. So,
please go and watch the interview after this.
Yeah. So, we are thrown out of the house. Actually, one morning, wanakuja, we are thrown out of the house. Na, mimi sikuwa naamini nikiona shosho yangu. Like, ni yeye anatutoa kwa nyumba. Shosho yangu, my BFF, my bestie. The person I used to love so much.
You're 12.
Yes, sikuwa naamini huyo ndio mtu anakuja kuturusha nje. So we are thrown out of the house, but my mom side of the family ilikuwa na yeye. Like, ilisimama na yeye.
Good.
So we went back to my grandparents' house.
So they took that house that your dad had built?
They took it. Na walienda, actually waliingia wakaanza kujigawanya. Kila mtu, anasema sofa set ni yangu. Huyu anasema mtungi ya gas ni yangu. Huyu anasema vikombe na nini pale kwa ile, sisi wote tulikuangana. What is it called? The cupboard for the vikombe na sahani za wageni. Kuna mwenye anajigawia hiyo hivyo. So tunarushwa nje ya nyumba na we end up going back to my grandparents' house. My grandparents, like my mom and my mother to my mom.
Yes, your mom's side of the family.
Exactly, my mom's side of the family. Na tunarudi huko, but hatukukaa huko for long. We were there maybe for like a week, because now this is something that none of them knew. Hata sisi wenyewe hatukuwa. Okay, we were kids, so probably would not know this. But do you know, at some point when my dad got sick, and I don't know, because hii story tunakam kujua, like hata the in-laws didn't know. So during this time, I don't know if it's during the time when my dad was sick, or it was maybe slightly before my dad got sick, they had actually done a civil wedding. So my mom actually had a marriage certificate showing that she is married to my father and she's the right owner
of
everything yenye mali yote yenye babangu alikuwa nayo. Do you know tulirudishwa home na court? Like court ndio like ilikuwa a whole story. Court ndio iliturudisha home. And I remember
vividly. But unarudi into the compound.
Yes, where we are not wanted. Richie, I remember very clearly. Hiyo siku sijaweza. Hiyo siku, the specific day that tunatoka kwa shosho. Sasa tunarudi kwa nyumba yetu. Tulikuwa mpaka na makarao. Like we had 2 cops and somebody from the court. Mwenye wametuleta kuhakikisha tumerudi kwa nyumba yetu na kuna mtu ametusumbua.
Walirudisha vitu? Nothing. Sasa
wacha nikwambie, that day it was drama upon drama, Richie. Because you know what happened?
With the cops,
remember we all tulianza na nyumba ya shosho. Wanafungua nyumba. Mama anaingia, anaambiwa chukua kila kitu yenye ni yako. Na wao ndio wanaambiwa wazibebe na makarao. Wanaambia vile ulibeba kutoka kwa hiyo nyumba, unabeba hivyo hivyo uirudishe. So imagine that is what happened. Like my mom tulienda alipelekwa na makarau to each and every, na huyu msee wa koti, like to each and every house akiambiwa anything that is yours yenye walikuwa wamechukua wanabeba. Actually si mama nabeba, wanaambiwa hivyo vile mlizitoa kwa ile nyumba yake, hivyo ndio mnazirudisha. But Richie, can you imagine? Hiyo ni maisha gani anaenda kuishi hapa?
Do you know, I can't even imagine at night. How did you sleep?
So imagine for about 2 to 3 days we had cops every night. Walikuwa wanakuja kutukalisha every night because the fear of living in that house was just ilikuwa too ridiculous. Do you know we used to sleep, all of us we used to sleep in my mom's bedroom, like on my mom's bed. Sisi wote watoto wote wanne na mom tulikuwa tunalala kwa bedroom moja. Mom hangefathom the thought of sisi kids sleeping in our bedrooms. And you remember I said it was a massive 5-bedroom house. Like it was a massive house. Like every child had a bedroom. Because ilikuwa bedrooms za ya dad na mom na bedrooms zingine ni. Sisi wote tulikuwa, kila mtu alikuwa na bedroom yake.
This is like sleeping in war.
Yes.
At any moment something can happen.
Yes.
How are you even going to school? Where are you even playing? Can you even play with your friends? Can you even go to the neighbors?
Now that's the most beautiful thing.
Watoto hawajui.
No. For some reason, my mom has always been a very, like a good person. You know those people who are genuinely
roho safi tu.
Roho safi, good people. And she was known for helping anyone who came to her with a problem. So neighbor leo amekosa unga ya kupikia nini, anajukinda kwa mama Julie, utapata sapa ya watoto wako. So my mom had built a very good community around her. Away from the relatives, she had built her own community ya neighbors na kila mtu.
Okay.
So even when all these things were happening, the community walikuwa wamemshikilia.
Okay.
So even when the cops went away, because kwani makarau wataku nini hapo, the guys who were protecting us were our neighbors.
I understand why you say where's ishi Nairobi na ujui neighbors yako.
Exactly.
I
so
get it.
They actually formed a proper nyumba kumi. Hiyo time hata kukuwa na nyumba kumi. So there was a proper nyumba kumi, and this nyumba kumi was to safeguard this family. Because now our worst enemies ni akina nani? Our relatives. Wenye mmoja anaishi hapa, mmoja pale. So ilikuwa ni maneighbor. By the way, actually they formed a group na wakahakikisha mama kona namba ya each
neighbor.
Each neighbor, and especially now the men. Like each man of all the houses hapo, mama alikuwa na namba zao. But you see, because she had built, remember my mama's ameshushago all her life. Like there was only that kidogo stands where she was in Nairobi to take care of the sick man. But her entire life ameshushago. So she has, she had formed a very good bond with the neighbors. So when she needed them, they really came through.
Did those guys ever try anything?
Richie, nimekuambia story tu ndio inaanza.
Mimi sina roho wiki tu.
Richie ndio story inaanza. So